Hey, thank you for tuning in. I'm Dylan, and my wife Kasey and I are full-time travelers. Our mission is to see all that we can see in the United States. We're glad that you're here and following along with us. In this video, we just wanted to show you how our travel trailer looked when we first bought it and how it looks now. Daydreaming of living the full-time RV life, one of our favorite things to do was stay home and watch YouTube videos about RVing. Whether we were watching how-to videos, tips and trick videos, or our favorite, RV remodeling videos. Whether you're in the middle of a renovation, whether you're just thinking about RVing and maybe remodeling an RV, or maybe you're just curious and you're like us and you like to watch YouTube videos. We hope this video is helpful to you no matter where you're at in life, and we hope that our experiences might provide some insight and some tips on your renovation. I should probably warn you that some of the footage you're about to see is 3 or 4 months old. And if you think that this recording is cheesy and bad, then wait until you see that old footage. I apologize in advance, it's not good, but it is the official welcome to our trailer that we recorded when we just pulled off the lot and we're so excited to have it. I should also say that we unintentionally left out a lot of footage. By that I mean that as we were working and remodeling, we often remembered to record after we were already finished. So we don't have a lot of footage of us actually working on things, but if you have any questions about anything in the video, feel free to leave those questions in the comments and we will respond as soon as possible to answer any questions that you might have. So this is the side. It's 38 feet, including the hitch. Inside's like 33 and a half, something like that. 3 slides. We'll go in and look in a second, but this is the main slide, and that's another one. There's one in the bedroom. There's an awning, that's pretty typical. We got these slider covers. Again, that's pretty typical. The marine speakers, so we can bother our neighbors with music. A little bit of storage there on the front. Not quite as much as we would have liked, but that's okay. I think that's about all the features in the front. Auto stabilizers down at the bottom. And so inside we've got a pretty big kitchen area. This is one of the main selling features for this travel trailer. I think this thing has more counter space than our townhouse, or maybe just as much. Lots of storage. I mean, more cabinets probably than our townhouse. Pretty decent sized sink as well. Not quite as deep as I would have liked, but pretty wide, so I think we can wash what we need to wash in there. We probably won't be doing too much dishes anyway. And we've got what's called a residential fridge, even though it is kind of the RV size. It's not big like some of the fifth wheels have, but it's definitely more than we need. It's plenty of space. There's no oven in here. But there is a microwave / convection oven that works like an oven, of course, so we can get what we need to get done in there. And then there's the 3-burner range, which is pretty nice. Obviously I haven't used it yet, but definitely could cook some stuff up on that. I think this fell out in transit, so we'll put that back where it needs to go. Skylight in the kitchen with a vent, so that's good for when we try to cook and burn our food. We can easily vent it there. And then there's a window also in the kitchen, so we can vent there if needed. Moving over here there is a, I think 52, 3, 4-inch TV. I'm not quite sure what size they come in, maybe 55, I'm not sure. But this comes out, it swivels when it's not strapped down. So it's strapped down, so you have to believe me on that. Then there's also a electric fireplace, which looks pretty. I think it's more of a feature that you look at than you actually use for heat. It looks pretty nice when it's powered on. Bluetooth, radio, stuff like that. Then we have this kitchen area, and really most of this travel trailer will look different when we're done with it. This won't stay, but this is the kitchen area. We'll probably keep that the kitchen area with pretty nice views. 3 big windows there. That may be an office, I'm not sure, but whatever it turns into, we'll have 3 nice windows to look out while we're doing whatever we do in that area. Then turning around to this side, again, 3 big windows, which is another big selling feature for us. This is a pull-out couch, so it turns into, I think, a full-size mattress. Again, though, don't know if we'll keep this furniture, so that's subject to change. And these are the recliners. These are pretty comfortable. I don't think we'll keep those, but they are comfortable, and that's why we have them. But this whole area will probably look different. The floors will probably change a little bit. The carpet will probably be gone. The cabinets will probably be painted. The trim above the couch here will probably either be removed and replaced or painted at the very least. That's about it for this area. So next is the bathroom. Pretty tight fit. Don't think we can get a camera and me in there at the same time. But we've got a pretty nice sized cabinet there. We've got a bowl sink that we really like. Lots of storage down beneath. Then we've got, of course, an RV toilet. And then a pretty decent sized shower with a skylight up top, which we really like. And then also the vent next to that. The shower is pretty big, so we're happy about that. We have a little bit more room than to just stand in one spot and kind of do a 360. We may actually be able to move around a little bit. Motion detecting lights on the ceiling, both of those. So that'll be nice. No worrying about finding a light when it's the middle of the night, trying to use the restroom. So the last stop of this little mini tour is the bedroom, which was probably the biggest selling feature for us on this travel trailer. It's one of the only, maybe the only travel trailer we've ever seen with a slide out bed. It's also a king bed, well, an RV king, but I guess they call it a king. Bigger than a queen at least. Again though, the features will probably change. The trim will probably get painted. Blinds and stuff like that, but lots of storage. I mean, just lots of storage again. Maybe more storage than our townhouse has. 3 drawers down there, a big pull-out closet, more drawers behind us here, 4 big wide drawers that are pretty deep for an RV. And then another big closet back here that goes, I don't know, maybe 4 feet on each side. An upper little rack here for, I don't know, hats or whatever you put there. And here's the other side of this big closet. Again, I would guess it's maybe 4 feet wide and 3 feet deep all the way across. And then one of the other cool features here about this closet is that you have access to your outside storage. So that's our outside storage. That's a little bit of stuff we've accumulated already. Kind of cool to be able to access that. Kind of also makes me wonder about bugs or anything, burglars maybe crawl through there, but I think we'll be fine. If anything happens, I'll let you know. There's a mount for a TV here. We can plug in a TV, either put it here, or I think you can mount it somewhere to this wall. We'll probably end up putting something there. These will probably change, but that's a nice little additional storage we've got in here. Another cool thing is that this unit has 2 air conditioners. This is the second, and I think the main air conditioner in this travel trailer, but that'll be nice in the summer, or just when it's hot in general. If we're in Florida, it's hot all the time. So having 2 ACs in a travel trailer this size is definitely gonna help keep us cool. But that's it for this bedroom, I think. So we were just wrapping things up here, closing all the blinds, getting ready to leave our travel trailer in storage. And we've had this thing for maybe 2 hours now, been in it for maybe 20 minutes. And I went to pull this shade down and the base here completely came loose from whatever this sticky stuff on the back is. We've got that much left. I don't think it'll hold on very long, so that was fast. Wow.
Thanks for replacing it.
We purchased our travel trailer, which is a Prime Time Lacrosse 311RK from General RV in Tampa, Florida. We intend to put together a video in the near future about our experience with General RV, so I won't say a lot here about that. What I will say is that when we were called in to come and pick up our travel trailer, we were both very, very nervous. I was driving and I have never towed anything before in my life, so starting out with a 38-foot travel trailer was a bit scary. Fortunately for us, the trip back was just on the interstate, so there was really nothing to worry about, but it was still a bit concerning. As soon as we got our travel trailer back to where we were storing it, the first thing that we did was change out the lock.
What's wrong?
It doesn't fit. Yet. But it will. Many RVs are keyed alike, meaning that somewhere out there in the world, chances are that somebody has a key that will open up the door to your RV, and probably your storage compartments outside as well. In fact, it may not be just somebody out in the world, it may be somebody next to you at your RV park. I don't know exact numbers, I only really have anecdotal information, but from what I hear, from what I read, RV manufacturers don't use that many combinations for keys. So chances are there are a lot of keys out there that could potentially open up the front door of your RV. So the first thing we did was swap out the lock that came on our RV with an RV lock. We were keeping our travel trailer in storage, and we've heard a number of horror stories of people having their trailers and their RVs broken into at storage, having things go missing, having doors pried open, and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that our trailer would be secure, so we changed out the lock. After that, we got started with our first major project, which was removing the cabinet doors from all the cabinets in the trailer and prepping them to be painted. So here's where the table and chairs used to be. Now there's nothing but a broken blind and a couple of straps that we have to get out of there. And there's the kitchen with no cabinets. That took quite a while to unscrew all these things, but luckily the screws are small. We're gonna leave the drawers in and just kind of paint over them and paint around them, stuff like that. Here's where the pull-out couch was. We took that out. Here's where the love seat kind of recliner thing used to be. We took that out. All that stuff is now in the back of our truck. That was no fun at all. Don't recommend taking RV furniture out of an RV. Big furniture, small door. Did a little bit of damage here. You can see scuffed up some stuff. Luckily we're gonna paint, or at least put some wallpaper down, so nothing too bad. Did a little bit of scuffing up on the frame here, but again, I think we're gonna paint, so nothing to be too sad about. That's how things are shaping up so far. So we got all of the cabinet doors out of our travel trailer and into our garage. We're working on priming them right now and then painting them. Well, actually first we're taking off all the hardware and trying to figure out what to do with the, I think, wallpaper that's behind the pane of glass to give it kind of the frosted look. So it's coming along so far so good. Here's how things are looking right now. So here's how things are looking so far. I've got probably half of the hardware off the cabinet doors. You can see some of them, most of them have kind of that frosted look. And I think what's behind the pane of glass is just like a thin sheet of wood or vinyl or something with that sort of white whatever image printed onto it. So I think the plan is we're gonna take the pane out, that piece of wood or whatever it is out, put new wallpaper over it, and then caulk it back in there so it'll look a little bit different. Most of these are gonna be white. Some of them are gonna be a funky green blue color that Casey picked out. And so far so good. Just have to sand and prime and paint, probably take a couple days. My helper's over there, making sure everything goes smoothly. She's really keeping an eye on me, so everything will be all right. That's how we're doing so far. So this is how the cabinet looked before, and I was under the impression that there was a pane of glass here with maybe a thin sheet of some kind of wood or ply or something with the kind of white design on it. But after taking it off, which took 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it looks like they just painted the design on the back of the glass, which I guess makes sense. I guess it was wishful thinking that there would be two separate pieces. So, kind of puts us in a bit of a dilemma here. We're going to probably just wallpaper over the front, put our new design on the top of the glass, rather than putting it behind the glass like we wanted, because the kind of gloss look, or the frosted look, is kind of nice, but I think it'd just be too much work to scrub this back paint off. But who knows, maybe there's an easier solution. We'll see how things end up. So this is how things are looking after about a week of on and off work, also very slow paced work. We finally got all the cabinet doors sanded and we've got the backs taped up. We decided to leave the backs the way that they were with this darker finish, and we'll just paint the sides and the fronts, and we'll see how that turns out. We did probably 60% of the sanding manually with one of these sanders, which obviously took quite a long time, and we did it outside because we didn't want sawdust all over our garage. So that was no fun. Even though it's March, it's still like 105 degrees here in Florida. So finally, we switched over to the electric sander, which obviously worked a lot faster. And I think it also did a lot better of a job. You can see kind of like that one we did manually. And then one like this was done with the electric sander. So definitely sped up the process and things are definitely coming along. We're now just about to prime everything and then we'll paint. And we'll go over to the camper and paint everything there and see how things end up. So even though this is a pretty big storage area, we've decided that we want to go ahead and remove this cabinetry here, and we'll probably replace it with some floating shelves instead, which I think will ultimately end up looking pretty nice. Tried to save this cool light. I thought it was battery operated, so I unscrewed it, but it turns out it's hardwired in here, so we'll see how that ends up affecting everything. And then we'll also end up taking out this mirror and placing a cool national park sign that we have. And that's it for now. So we've got our forest edge kind of green aqua foam color on the base cabinet doors. And then we've got our upper cabinets painted white. Again, we've got one coat on. We're gonna need at least one more coat on the greens. The white look okay. We're gonna do at least one more coat on the white. But I might end up doing two more on the greens just because we primed and you can see the white still coming through after a pretty hefty first coat. So we'll just see how things end up there. But here's kind of a sneak peek of how things will end up looking. Our hardware came in the other day, this nice gold color, and then I wallpapered the glass. You may remember that there was kind of this frosted glass in there originally. Well, instead of trying to strip that because it was basically painted on the glass, I just decided to kind of wallpaper over it. And it's this kind of, I don't even know what you'd call it, this arrow pattern that looks like it was done with watercolors. So that's how our upper cabinets are gonna look, hopefully. The bottom cabinets will just, obviously since there's no cutout or any frosting, it'll just look kind of like this, which I think looks really nice. It's not really on there straight, but you get the picture. And that's how our kitchen is shaping up. Oh, one other thing. These cabinet doors were very, very brittle. I managed to break 2 of them in the process of stripping them. So we ended up having to wood glue 2 of them back together. One broke completely. I think it was that one over there. All 4 corners broke. Luckily some Gorilla wood glue managed to fix that, and it's actually stronger than the other ones. So be careful if you wind up doing something like this. You probably will break at least one of those. But that's how things are looking right now. Just a quick update on how things are coming along. We've got everything sanded, we've got everything primed, as you can see in the background there. Everything is ready to be painted. We've got everything cleared out. We decided to remove the wood here all around. We did it over here as well. So we're gonna replace that with some pine probably, or we've got the door off the bathroom here. Everything's primed in here. We've got the bedroom all primed and ready to go. Same deal. We've got the old trim off, ready to put on some oak or pine. And we've got the cabinet area back here ready to be painted. And so things are coming along. Maybe a few more weeks of solid work and we should be done. So keep you updated. We painted all of our cabinets in the trailer, including obviously the cabinet doors. We took the cabinet doors home with us to work at them in our garage. And I think we can both say without a doubt that painting and working on the cabinets in general was probably our least favorite part of our remodel. What made it so difficult was the veneer that was on our cabinets. The original cabinets had the appearance of wood, and I think they actually are made out of wood, but they are veneered with like a tape. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's basically a piece of paper that's glued onto the cabinets to give the appearance of wood. And as we were prepping to paint our cabinets and cabinet doors, we quickly realized that this stuff was going to be a problem. If you tried to sand it, the glue would gunk up your sander, and as you sanded, it would just kind of spread the glue out all over the surface, making it almost impossible to sand. But then on the flip side, if you didn't sand it, then your surface was so smooth that the paint and the primer wouldn't really stick at all. So what we ended up with were cabinets that were sanded and cabinets that were not sanded. The cabinets that were sanded ended up looking pretty rough in appearance. You can tell that they have been sanded for the most part if you really look closely. And then the cabinets that have not been sanded, we have to walk around very carefully to make sure that we don't scrape them or push anything into them, because the paint will probably peel off pretty easily. If you're in the middle of a renovation, or if you're about to renovate your RV and you're planning on doing some work on your cabinets, what I would recommend doing is priming all the surface that you plan to paint, and then using something called shellac. It comes in a spray can. You just spray it on like spray paint, and what it does is it creates sort of a barrier, or sort of a faux surface that's easily painted over. And that will just add another layer between the primer and the paint, so that if you were to ever scratch the paint, you would have that extra added layer to prevent the scratch from going all the way down to the original paint or the original veneer. After you shellac, I would paint. I would do at least 2 coats of the paint that you choose, even if it is a high-end paint. We ended up going with one of the top tier paints, and we still did at least 2 coats. I think we may have done 3 on a couple of spots. but do at least 2 coats of paint, and then I would spray on a clear coat. And be careful with the clear coat. We created a lot of extra work for ourselves by spraying on a clear coat that didn't spray on clear. Some of our cabinets are white, and when we sprayed on the clear coat and let it dry, it dried kind of a yellowy color, and we ended up having to put on another layer of paint and using an actual clear coat to make sure that it was sealed. So be very careful, make sure that you get a clear coat that's actually clear. I wouldn't recommend an oil-based clear coat. Put a clear coat on, and your cabinets or whatever you're painting in your RV should hold up pretty well. We also swapped out the blinds that came with our travel trailer. Now the blinds that came with our trailer did a really good job of keeping out the sun, but the only problem is that they were kind of ugly. They were very thick vinyl, I believe, and they did a good job. They did what they were supposed to do, but they were just kind of hard to look at. So we swapped those with curtains, and we think that they look a lot better. And they still do a pretty good job of keeping out the sun. If you are remodeling or thinking about remodeling, I might recommend leaving in the shades that come with your RV if they do a good job of keeping out the sun. But if you don't like looking at them, I would suggest putting curtains over them. That way you can hide them for the most part, but you still don't get all that heat coming in from the outside. We also added new flooring to our RV. This might have been the most time-consuming of the projects, but I think it also had the biggest effect on the overall look of our RV. Our travel trailer came with linoleum that didn't look bad, but you could tell that it was linoleum. It wasn't anything special to look at, and we preferred the look of wood. So we purchased Pergo Applewood laminate flooring, and we installed it pretty much throughout the entire trailer. There are, with like any addition, some pros and some cons. The pros are the appearance. We think it looks really good. We think that it does a really good job and that it will hold up much better than the original flooring. But the con, especially if you are weight conscious about your RV, that is if you're counting every pound that goes into your RV, these floors added at least 500 pounds of weight to our trailer. We were a little nervous about that at the beginning, but we think it was well worth it. We think it's going to be just fine. But if you are pushing it, maybe your truck is already struggling to tow your travel trailer or your fifth wheel, or maybe you just would rather not risk it, maybe go with another type of flooring like a peel and stick, or even just another better, higher quality linoleum. But we opted for the Pergo Applewood laminate flooring, and we think that it looks great. We're here at the trailer. It's kind of late, but we decided to do some of the flooring now. We haven't quite finished painting. We've got the first coat down, and we're going to do one more coat. So I decided I'd do the flooring over here where, you can't really see that, it's bad angle, over here where there's no painting that'll be done, just to kind of get a feel for it, see if it's what I want to do for the rest of the trailer. So far so good, even though I've only got one piece down. I think it's gonna be okay, but we decided to get Pergo Applewood laminate flooring, which is, I don't know if I showed you that at all, but it's kind of heavier than vinyl, which is the only drawback, but it does feel sturdier, and ultimately I think it'll be a better choice. But I did the math, and if we buy 20 boxes of this stuff, which I think is what we'll need, it'll add about 490 pounds to our trailer, and I think vinyl would have probably been half of that maybe. But again, I think the sturdiness of it will be worth it, and so I think everything will work out. But just wanted to give you a quick update. That's how things are going, and I'll let you know if I decide to finish the rest of it or if I just do this one little slide out. Little status update here. Here's how things are looking. We finished the floors in the slide, but we've also got 95% of the floors done everywhere else, which only took a week to do with some help from our good friend Jim, who helped with a lot of the difficult cuts that I am just not good enough to do, like this cut here where we had to try to get the angle and then have it come around and fit into that little groove. He helped with stuff like that, and I really appreciate that. And we got, like I said, about 95% of everything done. We ran out of flooring here, so I think one more box, maybe two, just to be safe. We'll finish up here. We did the bathroom, which was also a big hassle just because of the toilet there, and then all of these kind of intricate detailed moldings and angles in that corner, and then trying to get a piece to come out of the bathroom into the hallway was just about impossible. Again, thanks to Jim for that. And then as we were coming through doing the floors, we realized that the laminate wasn't gonna fit up under the bed. I'll try to show you how flush it is. So we could have put the stuff down, but the slide probably wouldn't have been able to come in. So the plan is bring the laminate out to here, put a piece of transition down, and then in the bedroom, I laid some peel and stick vinyl in probably 30 minutes, which was cool, but also made me think, man, if we would have did peel and stick vinyl all throughout here, we would have been done in a day versus a week. But I think the laminate looks a little better than the vinyl, but it still looks pretty good. Happy with how it turned out. We finished the painting. Again, it seems like we keep thinking we finish the painting every time we paint, and then we see something that needs to be painted or something wrong. The last problem was we sprayed some polyurethane, oil-based polyurethane, and it just made everything yellow. So we did another layer of paint. We are gonna do a water-based polyurethane all over. You really couldn't notice on the green, but on the white you could really see it. So that's the plan. And then I also put up a little test piece of wallpaper. This will be the Shiplap wallpaper that we'll put pretty much everywhere throughout. And we just did a little strip to see how well it would stick before we went crazy and did the whole thing. We don't want to make sure that the heat isn't going to keep it from sticking, or the cold isn't going to keep it from sticking. So just to test there, and then we'll do a peel and stick backsplash here. And then we've got kind of this cool flower looking wallpaper that we're going to put behind the toilet in this area. This will be shiplap. And pretty much everything else will be shiplap throughout. Things are really coming along, other than finding new planks to put around the trims here, finishing the floors, putting up the wallpaper. That's pretty much all we have to do. Things are really moving along here. Maybe the best part about the flooring that we chose is that Pergo also makes a 5-in-1 trim. Now that came in handy when we were framing out the slides. A big issue that many have when changing out the flooring on the slide is the issue of framing it out. That is, having a barrier between the lip, that is the final piece of flooring, and the main floor of the trailer. There are all kinds of solutions that many have come up with that work very well, but we got lucky in that Pergo sells a trim. It's a little expensive. I think it's $35 per piece, and I think it's about 180 inches or so per piece. $35 per piece gets you a piece of trim that will work perfectly to frame out your slides. It matches the flooring that they sell, so everything fits and flows together. Even if you didn't use Pergo flooring, I would recommend looking into this 5-in-1 trim, because chances are if you're using a laminate or even a peel and stick, that they have a color that's close to what you have that you can use to trim out your slides. Another big project that we took on in our travel trailer was hanging wallpaper. We used peel and stick wallpaper, which was much more convenient than the traditional wallpaper and paste, but it was still very difficult in my case. Now, I'm no handyman, I'm not really good at this sort of stuff, so maybe you would have a much easier time, but we opted for the Shiplap wallpaper that you can get from Target. It looks really good. It's a little pricey. It's about $35 per roll, and I think we used at least 20 rolls in the entirety of our trailer. But the biggest problem was making the lines of the shiplap match up. The rolls are, I think, 2.5 feet wide, and the lines are vertical. So each line is, I think, spaced 6.5 inches apart vertically. So that means you have one strip of lines, and then you have to make the next strip match up with the lines that are next to it. Now, if you know what you're doing, and if you're good at that sort of stuff, that's probably no issue. But if you're someone like me, it might be an issue. For me, it was an issue. There were so many times where I just decided to give up, or where I decided that, you know what, shiplap wallpaper looks nice, but it's just not worth it. And I kind of just threw my hands up and gave up. But fortunately, I saw it through, and I think it turned out pretty okay. All in all, I think the shiplap, despite it being a big headache, was worth it. It turned out looking really, really nice, and I think it adds a nice touch to the feel of the trailer. We also switched out the border around the slide. Our travel trailer came with a nice decorative particle board border around the slides that didn't look bad. We contemplated just painting over it, but ultimately we decided to tear it down and put up some pine boards. I think the pine looks a lot better. I think it really matches the shiplap wallpaper. If you have slides in your RV and you're looking to change out the border around those slides, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or any lumber store and buy some really inexpensive, lightweight wood to frame your slides with. Replacing the trim around the slides was probably one of the easiest projects that we did. All it took was a crowbar to get down the old wood or particle board, and a hammer and a couple of nails to put up the new trim. And I think it adds a really nice touch to the overall feel of the trailer. The countertops that originally came in the trailer looked pretty good, but they really didn't fit the feel of our trailer. They were kind of like a faux marble or a faux granite kind of color, and they would have looked fine in our trailer had we left them, but we really fell in love with the idea of butcher block countertops. The problem with butcher block is that it is very, very heavy. The countertops that were in our trailer looked like granite or marble, but they were really just made out of a thin kind of hard plastic. So we knew that if we wanted to swap them out for something, whatever we got would be much, much heavier. And we really didn't want to add a lot of weight to our trailer, especially considering the floors that we purchased added about 500 pounds, and our kitchen is in the rear of our trailer. So we knew that if we were going to add a lot of weight, we didn't want to add a lot of weight to the rear of our trailer, because then we might run into some sway issues while towing. So fortunately, what we found on Amazon was a very, very inexpensive peel and stick butcher block looking countertop. It was just like wallpaper. It came in a roll. You simply stuck it on the countertop or whatever surface you wanted to put it on. You made sure that there were no air bubbles, and that was really it. Other than cutting the corners and folding the pieces together so that the corners looked nice and neat, there was really no issue at all with putting on this peel and stick countertop. I think it adds a really nice look to the kitchen, to all the surfaces that it's on. It was very easy to apply, and best of all, it was very inexpensive. I don't remember exactly how much it was. I want to say it was around $30 for 3 rolls. And so we were able to do all the countertops in our trailer for around $60 versus about $1,000 for a real butcher block, or probably more than that. So if you're looking to add some butcher block in your trailer, we highly recommend this product from Amazon. It looks really, really nice. You really can't even tell that it's not actual butcher block unless you get really close and inspect. All in all, it was a nice addition to our trailer. It took us about 4 months of what I'll call casual labor to transform our travel trailer from the way that it came originally into the way that we had wanted it to look. By casual labor, I mean that we weren't coming every day and we weren't putting in 8-hour days. We would come a few times a week and put in a couple hours each time, just until we got tired and we would go home. We took our time about it. If we were really serious about it, if we came every day or 5 times a week and put in 8 hours, it probably would have been a month or a month and a half project. But an RV remodel can be as involved or as uninvolved as you want. Things like peel and stick make it so much easier to change things and change the appearance of things. A peel and stick floor is much easier to install than laminate. Peel and stick counters are much easier to install than actual countertops. And spray paint is so much easier than getting out a bucket and stirring paint and doing all that's involved with that. I was very fortunate. Kasey and I agreed from the beginning that I would do the labor and the physical work and she would do all the designing and decorating. So I think we made a really good team. I think it made the process a lot more enjoyable and a lot easier. Now here's the footage of how our travel trailer currently looks. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope that if you are looking for some inspiration or some ideas as far as design goes, that you found them. I hope that this has made your remodel just a little bit easier. Again, if you saw anything in this video that you would like to have in your trailer, chances are you can find it on Amazon. If you can find it on Amazon, it's probably linked in the description below, so definitely check the description out before clicking off this video. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and if you do subscribe, make sure you hit the notifications bell so that way you get updated every time we post a video. Share this video with your friends or anyone who may be interested in RV renovations or remodels, and be sure to stick with us as we continue our trip across the United States of America. We're so glad that you're with us, and until next time, we'll see you on the road.